getting feedback here. All right, doesn't seem to be. All right, here we go. Two seasons continue to battle it out with winter weather on the north end and warm weather on the south end. And we'll talk about where those areas are tonight. And we will take a look at the rest of the week and the weekend, and we'll peer into the long range. All that and so much more. You'll be amazed tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is brought to you by Mulch. Red mulch, uh, dark mulch, whatever kind of mulch you like, you can find it. There's the dark mulch, and you can find it at Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, to make your home look like the envy of the neighborhood, landscape to perfection. So if you're a landscaper, if that's your business, or maybe you're just a soloist wanting to do some landscape artwork in your own yard, head over to Omni. And again, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, 631-756-1125, the phone number. But in case you don't want to use the phone number, you could always go to the website, which is
OmniTrueValue.com. And don't forget the phone number again, 631 756 1125. And they are located again in West Babylon, or if you're a native, West Babylon, New York, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue. Some people call it Babylon.
Yeah. There's a Long Island's got sort of strange things. For example, there's a West Babylon and there's a Babylon, but I don't believe there's an East Babylon. And
that sounds weird.
And in Nassau County, East Hills is actually west of West Hills. I thought you would find that exciting. It's one of those.
That's kind of like a paradox,
right? And of course,
I might also point out that if you do go on the Omni True Value website, which is again omnitruevalue.com, you will find out the story of American rock salt and road salt, halite, available in quantities at Omni ranging from 50-pound bags all the way up to, in case you need this much, 40-ton truckloads. It is fast acting.
They do. Well, this was not supposed to be an infomercial, but nonetheless, and we're no longer really in rock salts in ice and snow season. But yeah, if you got a 40,
Joe.
They get 40-ton trucks that come in there to pick up the rock salt. I've seen it, so he's not kidding.
Fast acting, superior melting power. That's American rock salt at Omni True Value. They're going to get the most out of me now, in terms of promotion. Since I read off the website, now I'm going to tell all of you folks on a daily basis what they offer to you. So I didn't even know that they offered this much.
All right.
But let me tell you, if you need 40 tons of rock salt, you know where to go.
I hope they're watching this. Okay. So we're into day 3 of this severe weather sequence, and it seemed that the first day was the worst of it when it was in Texas and moving into parts of western Louisiana and then points eastward. Yesterday, a little bit less in the amount of severe weather, although I don't know if you saw that. Did you see the tornado that went through New Orleans?
How often does that happen? That it goes through a major city like New Orleans, especially one that's literally right down by the water. I didn't think that was possible, but we saw yesterday. I guess it is.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans is a swamp. That's not a statement about New Orleans. I'm just saying it's literally in a swamp. It's 20 feet below sea level. And of course, it's not that far away from the Gulf of Mexico. All of southeastern Louisiana is pretty much swampland. So They decided to build a major city 20 feet below sea level, so they got pumps working all the time to make sure the water doesn't get in there, and it has been successful. And of course, as you said, they don't get tornadoes too often. The last one to move through downtown New Orleans was back in 2017. The video from last night that I saw that was shot at WDSU, I worked at the the station across town, which at the time was the ABC station. I think now it's a Fox station, which was WVUE. WDSU is in the heart was in the heart of the French Quarter. I think they're still there. But the video was very dramatic with that storm. And by the way, when I saw it, you saw how dark it was. Well,
Yeah.
I have never forgotten going through a thunderstorm there at 11 o'clock in the morning where it was like that and that dark. And it was one of
Wow.
it was probably it was the most vicious thunderstorm I've ever experienced. And I've, just like everybody else who's lived 63 years, they've experienced their fair share of thunderstorms. But that one was, we took a lightning hit to the TV station, took a lightning hit, and it fried everything, including all the weather equipment, the computer equipment, which we had at the time. Now, this was in 1985 or 86, so we're talking about
Uh-huh.
big computers, mainframes with, very primitive technology abilities, but still, it was the best around at the time. I think it was Cavoris was the what we had. But anyway,
It
it
wasn't the Aurora?
no, God, thank God, no. By the way, we had um, it utterly poured here. I mean, all night. I don't know how much rain we had, but Joe, when I say it poured, and
Yeah.
it poured into this morning. It stopped when I had to go out to meet some friends for lunch when I discovered that I left the window open in my truck. So needless to say,
Oh.
by the time I got to where I had to
Oh.
go, which was only about 10 or 15 minutes away, my pants were completely soaked, as was my underwear, which I discovered later when I got home. So,
You're giving too much information now, Joe.
oh, it's my channel. I can say what I want. You can say what you want. It just is what it is. So
All right. Well,
we've got severe weather tonight, and welcome to everybody on the chat board, which I'm looking at right now, but I'm not going to be looking at it during the show. So it's great to see everybody here on this Wednesday night, the 23rd of March. And if you are new to our YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, welcome, and welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. I'm Joe Chaffee, Joe Rayo on my left. And we're on 5 days a week, Sundays at 11 a.m., Monday through Thursday, usually at 7:30. But Joe needed an early start tonight because he's got a yap at 8 o'clock at a public venue. So let's get started here. Severe weather tonight, Mr. Rayo, is again as I was saying earlier, of the last 3 days. Today is probably the weakest of the 3 days. There's still some stuff going on that we need to pay attention to. One tornado watch has died out in southeastern Georgia, and there were a few tornadoes, or at least a bunch of tornado warnings that were issued for parts of southeastern Georgia earlier this afternoon. But they're pretty much done. We do have a working severe thunderstorm watch in Ohio, and in eastern Ohio down into West Virginia, we have a working tornado watch. And if I switch over to Tornado HQ, at the moment, we have one just popped up. We have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing. Let's see, we've got one in Georgia, one in North Carolina, 4 in Ohio, one in South Carolina, and 2 in West Virginia. I'm thinking that the 2 in West Virginia overlap with the 2 in Ohio. You can see where the one in South Carolina is in the northwest corner. And in Georgia, it looks like the warnings, those are special marine warnings that are up off the coast, but it looks like those have all expired now. And the showers in northern Florida don't look particularly strong, although southwest of Tampa, St. Pete, there's a bit of a stronger part of that line that extends out into the Gulf of Mexico. We'll see how that holds together a little bit later on tonight. But you got to go back a ways, for a couple of hours just to see where all the tornado warnings are. And all the tornado warnings have pretty much expired. So I think, well, I'm not 100% sure. But there always could be another tornado warning or two, but I'm not expecting this to suddenly blow up into a ton of tornadoes everywhere in the tornado watch area up in Ohio and West Virginia.
Well, the fact that we were seeing all of this activity. Now, a lot of that action you just mentioned in the Ohio Valley, one would think at first glance that that might be heading straight east toward us, but no, it looks like it's going to be lifting away well to our north, so we don't have to worry. And by later tonight, obviously, a lot of that activity will have diminished some, so there isn't any need or worry there for. Although I did mention, Joe, in deference to the folks at the Storm Prediction Center, I did mention the chance toward daybreak tomorrow morning or early in the day tomorrow for our area. As much as I've been saying for the last couple of days, I thought that would be too cool and too stable around here. I did mention the possibility for an isolated, not even a thunderstorm, I just said a thunder shower. So maybe, just maybe, you might, around here, hear a rumble or two. I think the worst of this in terms of precipitation is going to be arriving here after midnight and lingering into the first half of the day tomorrow. I think we could pick up in that relatively short time frame. We could pick up in some areas as much as an inch of rain. So there could be some ponding or puddling. And tomorrow morning's morning commute does not look very pretty if you're going to be on the roadways early tomorrow. So keep that in the back of your mind.
The risk area tonight is with the marginal risk into well, let's call it Central Virginia, crossing the entire state from east to west. And you see that slight risk that's in West Virginia and Ohio, and that's where the tornado watch is. And of course, where that if you follow the eastern flank of that marginal risk in western Pennsylvania down into West Virginia, then it curls back up toward Washington, D.C., and then it curls back southeast. That's the impact, really, of the marine layer that's over the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states. The chilly, and in some cases it's marine air. It's not quite marine air as you go further north, but in that chilly marine air that's sort of trying to wedge in, and that's why it's created that bump there in terms of where you see the severe weather. And on the next day, which is tomorrow, we do have some risk along the eastern seaboard, but it's mostly it's all south of us, from eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. We're not in that, but we do have a marginal risk up into Delaware, and then extending southward through southeastern Virginia, eastern North Carolina, coastal South Carolina, coastal Georgia into northern and central Florida. Only a marginal risk. I don't know. Maybe they'll put in a small, slight risk area in central Florida, in north central Florida tomorrow when they get there. And on day three now being the time frame of this will be Thursday. This should be Friday into Saturday. Yes, Friday into Saturday morning. Guess what? No thunderstorms are forecast. That's a little unusual for the end of March, but toward the end of March here, no thunderstorms forecast anywhere for Friday. And let's look at the long range because much of the activity this week was called in their long range day 4 to 8 outlook. And again, and want to just reiterate, when it shows up in the long range on SPC, pay attention. Potential too low on day 4, 5, day 6, 7, and 8, which takes us into next week. Predictability is too low, which translated means there probably will be some severe weather somewhere, but we're not confident enough to assign any risk value to it at this time.
Was that a little bit of Tom Grant that you on that last word, Tom?
Yes.
Time.
Low pressure approaching from the west. Or at this time, landlords are advised to keep heat up under extreme conditions. Anyway, there's some rain around on the radar this evening across the Hudson Valley. Light. I don't know if you see it reaching the ground. I saw Barry Goldberg on the chat board said that even though the dew point, the spread between the temperature and the dew point was a bit wide, the Rain is reaching the ground where he is up in West Caldwell, and you see a little band there in central New Jersey that cuts across Trenton and Allentown to about Scranton. That's moving east. Then there's a gap, and then there's some more rain that's gelling up down around Chesapeake Bay, also on the light side. But that frontal system, Joe, is going to energize that warm front, and we'll probably see that rain start to increase in coverage and intensity over the next couple of hours, and probably just literally blow up overhead during the overnight, as you indicated.
Right, right, right. If you're going to go out this evening, you will get wet, but it won't be something that will be, terrible or horrible or anything. But after midnight, if you're after, let's say, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, into tomorrow morning's commute, unfortunately, you may be encountering spurts of heavy rainfall, maybe a rumble or two of thunder, and again, something like a half to maybe as much as an inch of rain, and that, especially in areas of poor drainage, could cause a bit of puddling. So you might want to keep that in the back of your mind as you head on out the door tomorrow morning. You might want to head out the door 5 or 10 minutes earlier than they usually do because of that threat of significant rainfall.
Meanwhile, on the watches and warnings map, we do have a little bit of winter still going on. Winter weather advisories up for the Catskills and also for parts of northeastern New York, mainly up the Northway in the Adirondacks. We also have winter weather advisories in parts of Vermont, eastern Vermont. It looks like western Vermont is not quite in it or just on the edge of it. Central and northern New Hampshire, and a good chunk of the state of Maine, the great state of Maine, under a winter weather advisory. So let's go to gray Maine and see what exactly are they saying when it comes to snow. I'm expecting probably not a lot, but remember the threshold for pain up there is a lot higher than it is further south. So they could certainly have winter weather advisories and calling up for about half a foot before they go to a winter storm warning. But let's see what. Well, I'm sorry, this is Caribou that I'm bringing up the snowfall forecast map for Caribou, and in fact, indeed. Let's open the image up in a different tab. That'll make this easier for me. And let me get rid of that. They also are going for some ice in the southern half, but I-95 moves northward away from the coast uh, from near Bangor and then runs northeast up toward Holton, Maine. So that's forecast up to a tenth of an inch of ice in some places. But as far as snow is concerned, they're actually going. They only have winter weather advisories up, Joe. They're going 6 to 8. For Van Buren, Fort Kent, 6 to 8. Dickey, Maine.
Oh, lovely.
Dickey, Maine, Joe. 6 to 8. Now, seriously, I know there's not a whole lot town-wise in the northwestern corner of Maine, but could they not have maybe gone? I mean, they had to know that it was going to get chuckles among us kindergarten folk.
Oh, did I ever tell you that when I was on News 12 Westchester, there was a town in northern Westchester, and we were told by our news director, Janine Rose, we could never, ever say it or make reference to it. Would you like to know the town name?
Please. What town was this?
Succabone Corners. I mean, I mentioned it one night on the air, and I was called into her office, and she said to me that we called her Aunt Janine. She was the atypically nice news director.
Right.
And she said, Joe, no more. Don't mention that place anymore, Joe.
Well,
why?
What if there was a murder up there or something? Would they just ignore the story?
Well, if there was a murder, I guess then they'd have to mention it. But there is actually a place up in that part of Westchester called Succabone Corners.
I mean, they could say Succabone, but where exactly is Succabone?
I remember, if I can correctly, it's in like northern and northeastern Westchester County. I'm going to look it up right now. Yeah,
Okay.
here we go. Succabone Corners, Bedford. And when you watch the TV show, when you watch the movie It's a Wonderful Life, they make reference to Bedford Falls, and
Right.
I
Right.
think that is a tip of the hat to Bedford up in Westchester County. So not too far away from there is Succabone Corners,
God.
situated southwest of the Glen Arbor Golf Club, and northwest of Piney Woods Preserve, Joe.
Okay.
And
Well,
that's where Succabone Corners.
if you do suck a bone, the marrow can be very healthy. Just pointing that out. Saint.
And a few miles south of Katona. So there you
Okay.
go.
Saint Pamphile. I didn't even know there was a Saint Pamphile or file. Pamphile. Pamphile 6 to 8. Estcourt 6 to 8. Van Buren 6 to 8. Presque Isle 6 to 8. Ashland 6 to 8. 8 to 12 in Katahdin. Kataahdin. Anyway, Millinocket 3 to 4. Greenville 4 to 6. Of course, you see the numbers go down lower. Why don't we see what's going on from the National Weather Service in Gray, Maine? That's further south. So that's GYX. And let's bring up their map eventually. There we go. This is Gray, Maine, so they have more to the southwest. You can see the numbers tail off. It's all just north and west of I-95 from Portsmouth to Portland. You got to go inland before you start to get into a coating to an inch, and then you have to go way up before you start to get to an inch plus. So that's Gray, Maine. And why don't we check out Vermont?
Before we get right in between Gray, Maine and Vermont, I'd like to squeeze in Ken Musillo, who has hit super chats tonight, and we thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you,
Little
Kenny.
tip there, Ken.
Thank you, Kenny. And Vermont, now I'm thinking in this area that we have the winter weather advisories up. And I'm not going to bring up the ice maps, but I think the issue is the issue definitely is ice more than it is snow. So they're only going for just a couple of tenths here in terms of snowfall. So the advisories are up, and I'm thinking that it'll be at least a tenth to a quarter of an inch of ice if they got the winter weather advisories up for that particular area. Let's go to the satellite loop tonight and take a look at what's going on there. And we have, okay, so I'm going to let this load up. I'm just going to switch over to make sure that I have the latest GFS because I don't have it. I haven't even looked at it. I had to look at the 12Z. I didn't look at the 18. I think I glanced at the 12Z and didn't look at the 18Z run at all. So we'll let the 18Z load. While the U.S. loop is loading. Okay, I put that there. Okay, there we go. And it's pretty sprawling here, but do you see where the upper low is well to the west, up into the Great Lakes. So that features pretty far to the north, and we've got this this long stretch of tropical moisture from the Gulf of Mexico running across Florida and pushing up the conveyor belt here, Joe, into the Northeast and into the Mid-Atlantic. So I think that inch plus of rain is probably a pretty good bet. Starting to see the enhancement in the cloud cover grow just to the south and west from Virginia on southward. So that goes back to what I was saying. We'll probably start to see the radar blow up a little bit in terms of the precip coverage in the next several hours as it overspreads the southern areas of the Northeast overnight and into tomorrow morning.
Okay, and this pattern of wet weather is not going to leave us very quickly. I think that we'll probably be dealing with leftover shower activity here in the tri-state area. Again, the heavy-duty stuff probably will be after midnight to about at least early or mid-morning tomorrow. But then we're going to have lingering showers, Joe, I think, and some patchy areas of fog for the rest of the day tomorrow. and maybe another round of, I won't say heavy rain, but maybe a steadier type of rain tomorrow evening.
Right.
And it really won't all get out of here until probably before daybreak on Friday. In fact, by that time, finally, I think we'll be seeing toward daybreak on Friday some semblance of clearing, but it's not going to, clear out and become beautifully sunny on Friday. There's still going to be a bit of instability around. So after some sunshine early Friday, clouds will make a comeback. I don't think we'll see precipitation here, but I think clouds will make a comeback on Friday. And then we move into the weekend, and the weekend ain't going to be any great shakes either. It looks like
Right.
maybe some more shower activity, or maybe I should say just light showers and sprinkles around on Saturday afternoon. And then we're going to get into that surge, as we've been talking about the last few days, of much colder weather coming in for later in the weekend, Sunday, and especially so on into the start of next week on Monday.
Yeah, cold upper trough in the eastern part of the United States is going to linger and then get reinforced. So you're going to have a lot of cold, unstable air to deal with, even though the decline in temperatures that's going to occur is going to be more in stair-step fashion than coming in one big rush. So
Right.
we'll probably be into the 60s on Friday, if just, or 50s to maybe low 60s, and then we'll cool down a handful of degrees on Saturday, and then cool down some more on Sunday, and then Sunday night, Monday night, and Tuesday. That's going to be the coldest part of this stretch. Now you can see the rain on the GFS matches up with what's on the radar. We noticed before there's this sort of arm that's running from just north of the Pennsylvania-New York state line to the Hudson Valley to Long Island. It's mostly light. Then there's some light precip down in Virginia, and then suddenly it just blows up between now and 2 a.m. Over New Jersey and over Long Island and the Hudson Valley. And also, we'll see that in the process of intensifying, we'll see the rain pick up in places in southern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, and Delaware also. It'll just happen sooner. Then that goes out, and there's a second wave because it looks like the front sort of gets hung up. The low is so far to the west and occluded out and starts to weaken. So a second wave is going to develop. It keeps us in clouds and rain close by all day long tomorrow, comes back in tomorrow evening. And as you said, there might be a brief
Right.
period where it goes steady and then it goes out. And yeah, I agree with you with respect to Friday and Saturday. It's not going to be picture perfect by any means. It's a cold upper flow. The wind, I think, is going to pick up a bit on Saturday. And you can see some rain showers there Saturday around in the afternoon with snow in some lake effect snows in western PA, West Virginia, into western New York and parts of northern New York. Sunday, still be on the breezy to windy side here with low pressure to the east and high pressure coming down from Canada, and of course the chill down. And as we look ahead to next week, there's a low that's coming into California. If you take a look here, folks, on Sunday, you start to see this what's a strong surface low, a weakening surface low, strong while it's out in the Pacific, and then it weakens. But there's a fairly strong upper air feature that comes in with this and then starts to push eastward. And there you have a low in eastern Colorado that drops down into northern Texas near Amarillo. Now, this is on Wednesday morning. So I think that even though we're not seeing it on the long range right now, I think we're probably going to see some risk being indicated for parts of central and east Texas on later Tuesday night into Wednesday. And then that will shift during the day Wednesday into the lower Mississippi Valley and central Gulf states. There's an 88 low being indicated by the GFS anyway in southwestern Oklahoma that is already occluded out. And it's going to try to take a similar track that this one is doing, except that it's going to run into the block. And I think what's going to happen is that surface low is just going to start translating eastward, and you'll notice that there's an area of snow and sleet that streaks in across the Ohio Valley into West Virginia and Virginia. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just a very narrow, like a stick there for Tuesday and into early Wednesday. And then as this low tries to lift northeast, it hits the blocking high to the northeast of it, starts to translate eastward, and looks like we'll get into some rain maybe at the end of next week. So we may wind up being just dry and chilly for most of next week until this next weather system gains control with rain at the end of the week. At least that's the picture that the GFS is painting us.
Yeah, you mentioned a few moments ago about the wind, and certainly, I mean, you use the word increasingly
Yes.
blustery on Sunday, and Monday just an all-out. Monday is going to remind many of you who are out and about. I'm saying it'll be sunny to partly cloudy on Monday, but it's going to remind you very much of mid-February. I'm talking about temperatures on Monday, Joe. Probably, and I think you'll agree, is somewhere in the this is in the Hudson Valley. New York City, Long Island, you may very well go over 40 degrees before the day is over with on Monday. But here in the Hudson Valley, I'm thinking highs of 37, 38 degrees, which is
Yeah.
very much like mid-February.
Yeah.
And with the gusty winds, and the winds will be gusty, the winds will be sustained at times in the 20 to 25 mile per hour range from the northwest. There probably will be gusts, stronger gusts of 30 or 40 miles an hour. So you step outside on Monday, and you're going to face a wind chill, probably making it feel like it's in the 20s all through the course of the day, even though there may be periods of bright sunshine. And it really is going to be a throwback to the middle or early to middle part of winter. And then after that, after Monday, we'll see temperatures bounce back up to the mid 40s on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I know maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but on Wednesday, I actually, in my forecast, Joe, on Facebook, I actually use the four-letter word. I've got snow in the forecast on Wednesday, not a significant or a steady, snowfall, but I am mentioning the possibility on Wednesday of snow showers, at least in the morning, maybe mixing or changing to some scattered rain showers in the afternoon, as temperatures on Wednesday remain only in the 40s. We're still going to be, even on Wednesday, a good 5 or 6 degrees below normal when we get to midweek. So when we had that beautiful stretch of weather for a couple of days ago, I hope all of you enjoyed it, because that was by far and away the nicest weather we're going to see around here in terms of comfort, in terms of temperatures, for quite some time to come, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if that streak, that little stick of moisture with the on the edge of where that high is, if it's a little bit further to the north, I suppose I suppose it's not impossible. Now the European, and I'm just going to point out that the European has been really doing some weird things the last 4 or 5 days with cutoff lows and what look like wrapped up storm systems. At every run, it keeps changing. So I'm noticing on the day run today, Joe, that it's not respecting the blocking pattern that's going to be in place in over the North Atlantic. So after, I mean, it's in line with what we were saying for Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. That's fine. But it actually ejects something out of the west a lot faster than the GFS does, because it already has a low up to Wisconsin and a warm front that goes down into West Virginia and Virginia. So if you believe the European, it actually might be raining here late Wednesday into Wednesday evening. Then the warm front goes by, and then another low comes out from the Gulf states, and that brings rain for Thursday night into Friday before it turns colder and drier after that. The blocking pattern is probably going to hold for a bit through next week and going into the first week of April. I don't think there's anything controversial about that. But if you're a snow lover, you're going to have to accept the fact that this time of year, whatever's going to happen, if it's going to happen as far as accumulating snow, it has to happen at night, unless you get unless you have some sort of really strong system coming down out of Canada, some very deep upper low with some very, very cold air. I mean, we saw that back in 19, was it 82? 82. Um,
82,
yeah,
82.
I mean, we saw that happen back in 1982. But that's a once in a generation or even two generation event. Uh, so if you're going to see accumulating snow, you need to time something out where you're going to have some cold air around, and it has to happen at night. And by the way, it's always a good idea, just to give you perspective in terms of where we are. I like to seasonally adjust the temperature anomaly. So in other words, if we're 10 degrees below normal here at the end of March, the average high is about mid 50s. So if you get a day where you're 10 degrees below normal, your highs are going to be in the mid 40s. Now, a 10-degree departure is fairly sizable. Now, translate that back to say early February or January when you're 10 degrees below normal during that time frame, it would be similar to a day where temperatures aren't going to get out of the 20s in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. So cold is a relative term. Uh, Abe Zwicker never used to like to use the word cold. He always used to use the word low. Temperatures tonight will be quite low uh, because cold is how you feel. So some people might feel cold in highs only in the upper 30s and low 40s, and other people, it doesn't bother them. But anyway, it's always a good idea to sort of seasonally adjust uh, based on the departure of normal, just so you can gain a perspective of where we would be, say, if this pattern were back in January or back in February. It's a cold pattern, but in late March, early April, uh, unless you're really lucky and you got for a snow lover and you got everything that's in the correct spots and you got cold air to tap and maybe a little bit of Arctic air that's not that far away, everything's got to be perfect. So it's a different kind of cold.
Indeed. And Trish, sorry about that, Trish. Trish Sparaccio hitting super chats a few moments ago, and we thank Trish very much.
Thank you, Trish. Most appreciated. So the chairman's taking a break, so we won't have Briller Jeopardy until he's back in early April. So Joe, I've come up with a couple of questions for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, in the heavyweight championship fight and in New Zealand in 1725, what was the name of the referee?
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. A heavyweight championship. This boxing, pugilism?
Right, in 1725. In
1725. In New Zealand.
In New Zealand, what was the name of the referee?
Joey.
Nope, sorry.
Joey Boxer.
Sorry. You wrong. You pay the penalty. Okay. Here's the next. Here's the next question. At what latitude and longitude was the wreck of the Hesperus? Now,
latitude.
I will.
I don't know.
No. Wrong. You must pay the penalty. Now, I've given you those references. You should be able to tell me where I got that from.
The wreck of the Hesperus and the heavyweight boxing championship in New Zealand.
Right. And then my response to you.
Well, it sounds almost like what Bob Barker used to do on Truth or Consequences.
Okay, so you're on the right path. You're on the right path.
People are phony with Art Lamplighter.
No, but no. This was the Porky Pig Daffy Duck classic called Truth or. And in fact, when I was Googling the wreck of the, I wanted to, I was sitting there trying to work this out, and I'm thinking, well, let me Google what latitude and longitude was the wreck of the Hesperus. So when you Google that, okay, you get references to the poem, The Wreck of the Hesperus, which has got a lot of, when I'm reading about the poem. So Joe, the poem is about the captain of a ship, the Hesperus, that is leaving Ireland, and he's warned by a shipmate not to go because there's a hurricane offshore. So he doesn't, but he takes his daughter along as for good luck. Well, lo and behold, the hurricane happens. So to save his daughter, he ties her to the masthead of the, whatever it is they call that thing that goes all the way up, so they could look.
Right.
Okay.
The crow's nest?
Yeah, so they tie her to the mast, to the pole of the crow's nest, while the ship is being battered by this hurricane. And anyway, the captain dies, and then they find the body of his daughter the next day, gets washed ashore. So that's what the whole poem is about. So I guess they didn't, have special marine warnings in those days, or hurricane force wind warnings that were up. But that's what the poem was about. And of course, that question comes from that Warner Brothers cartoon, as we said, that uh, gives a nudge to truth or consequences.
Yes. Yes.
I thought that would have
Bob Barker.
I thought that would have jarred your memory.
Well, my memory, as Bob Ross would say, the mind is the second thing to go.
Yeah, well, that's true. All right, so you've got a talk tonight in 19 minutes. So I guess we can wrap it up here, so you can go get ready for it.
Yes. Yes. And
Okay.
we'll be back at our normal, our always normal time, 7:30 tomorrow night. Tomorrow's Thursday. Oh my goodness.
Yes,
So happy it's Thursday, Joe.
tomorrow is Thursday. So thanks everybody for being
Yes.
here. We're going to cut it a little short tonight because Joe's got stuff to do, but we'll be back tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern Time. Thanks so much for the super chat hits, and have a great evening. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Happy National Puppy Day. That's today.
Oh,
So
by the way,
say hello to your puppy
yeah,
for me, Joe.
well, I will do that. Bye, everybody.